Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Harry and Jen Do Horror with Friends. On this podcast, we pick current-ish horror films to analyze, critique, and use as a springboard for conversation. This month, we are joined once again by lit professor Teagan Bradway to talk Fede Alvarez's Alien Romulus. We talk about reboots and requels, sex, masculinity, feminism, AI, and who's the hottest actor in all of the Alien franchise. You should know that on this podcast, we completely spoil our movies, so if you haven't seen Alien Romulus yet, be sure to check that out first and come back to us. If you have a minute, we welcome ratings and reviews on your podcast streaming services, particularly if you use Apple Podcasts. We could really use a few more stars and kind words to help get the show in front of people on that platform. If you don't use Apple, we'd love your help growing the show in any way you like if you have the time, including reviews or just sharing these episodes with your horror enthusiast buds. Next month, we will discuss Companion, directed by Drew Hancock and starring Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid. Companion tells the story of a weekend getaway at a remote cabin that turns to chaos when it's revealed that one guest, a subservient android built for human companionship, has gone haywire. All that's to come. For now, let's talk to Teagan about Alien Romulus.
Teagan, do you one more time? Would you take?
I'm good. I'm ready.
You sure?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay.
Wow.
And we're in. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure.
That's my wife.
My life. I am Jen Lightfoot, and I am an artist and tattoo artist. And tonight I'm drinking a drink that I drank previously on the podcast.
Say drink one more time.
The drink is a combination of whiskey and this syrup that is made of like maple or something, but it's like made for drinking, just to be clear, because last time it sounded like I was just putting
Right, I thought that you had poured maple syrup
which
into whiskey.
It might not be bad.
I mean, I would drink that too.
Right, I drink it.
Fine. Hey, my name is Harry Nichols. I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm an English teacher. I am a dad of two small humans and an amateur horror enthusiast. And the thing I want to talk about today, I got the shittiest parent email today. I don't know if you all, well, Jen, you don't deal with this, but Teagan, I don't know if you deal with shitty parent emails.
Sometimes.
I got one that was not only like really annoying and in my face, but also like very condescending at times.
Oof.
There's a part where I'm going to go ahead and read it to you. So this is a concerned parent who is worried about their students' emotional well-being and worried about the reading load that I had assigned in my AP literature class. And she says that, I'm going to delete names because I'm a professional. She says he hates reading because he is so slow in his reading. His dyslexia makes things really hard. He has no diagnosis of dyslexia. But then she goes on to clarify for me. It is a kind of visual processing problem that makes reading into a real chore.
Oh.
Like, I don't know what fucking dyslexia is.
I love that she defined fucking dyslexia.
She dyslexic explained.
Yeah, I read that part and I am livid. Wow. Like I didn't learn what
as
dyslexia
if you
was.
didn't know what the fuck that was. What?
Did she use ChatGPT to write this?
No. Listen, definitely not. Okay.
Oh.
So anyway, I'm coming at you, from a real place of nihilism and anger at my fellow man, and so I'm ready to talk about, a beast that burrows in our chests and just makes a meal of us. But we have a friend here. Friend, who are you?
It's Teagan.
Teagan!
I'm back.
It's Teagan!
Guys.
It's like your sitcom line. It's Teagan!
Guys, I'm back. I'm back on the pod.
Don't
call it a comeback, okay? My name is Teagan Bradway. I teach English at SUNY Cortland. I write books on queer studies, and I am the lesser half of Jen Lightfoot.
Oh no!
I'm Jen's partner, and I've been on this pod before.
You've been on. This is third time.
Yeah.
Third time's a charm.
Your Alien Omnibus episode and Longlegs,
That's
the
right.
movie that I kind of went at hard.
The movie that
And
we
we
all
did.
hated.
And I was like, oh, I can't. I hope they'll let me back on the pod. I won't be so negative.
Well,
Oh no.
So thanks for letting me talk about Alien 3.
We're gonna get to critique. We're gonna get to critique.
No. Jen,
I feel like-
on this podcast, Jen always hops to critique.
It's so true.
It is
but
so
it-
charming.
Well, I feel like it makes sense that Harry wants to do analysis. I want to do critique. It would be bad if one of us wanted to do only one of those.
That's
things.
true.
It's true.
You balance
See?
each other.
Yeah.
That's right.
What do you
Yeah.
like?
Yin
Where do
and
you
yang.
want to hop into right now?
It has to be those two, or can
Yeah.
there be a third thing?
It could be a third thing. Make it up.
Because I think there could be more dick jokes on the podcast.
Wow.
I think that could
You're
be.
right. We are lacking.
I feel like you guys are really needing that.
Wow. No, that's fair. That's completely fair.
Haven't had that critique before, but always welcome. Needed.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I love how open you are to constructive criticism.
Well, let's see if we can work some dick jokes into this. Here we are talking today about Alien Romulus. Just this past year.
Yeah.
We start this off with a summary.
Yeah.
Teagan,
Oh, yeah.
can you do the thing?
Well,
Summarize
last time
your
I
shit.
gave like a.
You gave a good.
It was a little too intense. So
okay.
I've dialed it back. But we've got Rain, who is our main character, and her robot sort of brother Andy, and her friends who want to escape Jackson Star Colony. To do this, they decide they're going to essentially do a heist on a derelict space station that's floating above their planet. And specifically what they're looking to steal are these cryostasis pods that will enable them to make the trip to Yavata 3, which is outside the realm of Wayland Yutani. And I think it will take like 9 years or something like that to get there. Of course, on this spaceship, turns out there be aliens. Those aliens
be aliens.
fall out. Okay, that would be amazing. Alien. Oh, let's do like a period alien movie that's on a pirate ship. Jack Sparrow meets aliens. Come on.
Oh my god, I love it.
Anyway, so the aliens thaw out. They also encounter Rook, who looks a lot like Ash from the first film. And Rook is one of the science officers who's working on behalf of the company, specifically to extract some thing, some
Mojo.
DNA, some fluid or whatever from the aliens to create kind of genetic hybrids that can survive better in colonizing planets in space. Anyway, all hell breaks loose. Tons of aliens go around. Most of their friends die, except Rain, Andy, and Kay, who injects herself with this fluid and produces a kind of alien-human hybrid baby that must be ejected into space. And the one thing I left out is that Andy, a central subplot is that he gets an upgrade when he interfaces with Rook, and his morality comes into question because his directives initially were to protect Rain, do whatever's in her interest. Then it becomes doing whatever's in the best interest of the company. And then by the end, she rewrites his directive to say, do what's in the best interest of us. Notably not what's in your best interest.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
But we did see, anyway, that is the masterpiece, Alien Romulus.
Wow. A masterful summary.
Was it?
I thought it was good.
It was.
Can I ask, this is a theme, is it a theme or is it just whatever? But when Jen and I saw the movie in the theater, I just remember thinking, oh my God, I'm so old. All of these characters are like 22.
Oh, okay.
They're so young. And I wondered, is the film doing something with age? And because in the opening of the film, Rain like is ready to leave.
Yeah.
And then the colony like extends her contract, which is one of my favorite scenes in the film.
I like it a lot too.
I really
Yeah.
thought that was such an interesting moment. And so you have these young people who are like, I don't want to waste my life, basically getting lung cancer in the coal mines.
Right.
But I also just felt old. I was like, oh, this movie is not for me. It's for Gen Z. And is the film doing anything with youth?
Yeah.
Yes, in a way. I don't know if is it saying anything about youth? I'm not sure, but I feel like for plot purposes, they're thinking recklessly and in the beginning about as you called it, their heist for getting the ship. So I feel like it would make sense that they would be younger, feeling like there's less consequences maybe, or like, when you're younger and you're like, I'm invincible, nothing can touch me, nothing bad can happen. Like, I feel like that makes sense for them, but I don't know if it's saying anything about that.
I mean, I think that's enough right there. I mean, I think that it helps to explain a lot of what happens in this movie, that these are children basically running around. For me, I keep seeing, I feel like in all of these like reboots and sequels and requels, a sort of like visual language of like a passing of the torch, which I've talked about in previous episodes. In terms of like authenticity, when we did the Scream movies, we talked about how I feel like a lot of the like symbolic language of that movie is about taking the OG Scream from 1996 and transferring it to a new audience with authenticity. Yeah. And I've seen that in a couple of requels. I first noticed it in Star Wars: The Force Awakens 2, which begins with this opening scene where you have this like older gentleman giving Poe Dameron like a chip, and I think his name is something really on the nose, like lore or something. And it's like this, this really intense, like symbolic, heavy-handed handing down. And so, I read kind of the same thing in this, where the first shot of Romulus we get is actually of the wreckage of the Nostromo, which is that is the OG right there. And we get the OG xenomorph too, and Weyland Yutani pulls it in and they carve it out, and it turns out that this young new generation is actually grappling with like, the seed of the OG xenomorph, and so I see that as, again, it's like about authenticity. It's about trying to establish that the same film that gave your parents feels, back in the 70s, is back, and it's here to give a new generation feels in the same way.
Do you think it does?
Well, that's critique, isn't it?
Oh, okay. I guess that is more critique.
I don't know. I mean, you could, but
I don't run this pod.
No, it's a good question. I will say briefly that it does not for me, but I can get into that.
Okay.
I don't know. But I love the focus on the age thing too, because I also think that we're in this sort of post Stranger Things world too, where Stranger Things was very much had influences of Alien in it itself, which is wild. But I see it very much as like a copy of like E.T., where you had this like scrappy band of youngsters who were fighting for good in a world that their parents don't understand, and like
and it has that Spielberg vibe to it.
And so like I really wondered as we were watching this movie a little bit, are we just getting kind of like a Alien Stranger Things now?
It definitely had Stranger Things, and some of them like it definitely had like some of the more modern Star Wars like movies vibes in it too. I don't know, like the because like the newer Star Wars ones. I mean, I say newer, probably like fucking 8 years old,
10 years old.
But they had younger characters that were meant to appeal to like a younger audience.
Definitely. And
I do feel like it has that kind of like that adventure sci-fi kind of vibe.
Yeah. Star Wars itself did a Stranger Things. It did like a show that was like
did it really?
Star Wars Stranger Things.
Oh, okay.
Totally.
Oh, I have not seen that.
It's bad. Don't watch it.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I just kept thinking too of like, okay, what are the concerns of Gen Z now? Like, and they're in a world where like there have always been crises. They're saddled with endless debts, like environmental precarity.
Yep.
Just like I felt
COVID
like
disease.
COVID, yeah, and they are worried about like infection
Lungs.
at the beginning of the film. So I just felt like, oh, this is an interesting start to the world where it's like you've got young people who want to kind of escape, and they want to escape not just space but time.
Yeah,
and it gets signified in I mean, not to jump to critique, but like it's all around seeing the sun and like seeing a clear sky, which I think is a bit of a cliche kind of image, but is also like kind of interesting just in the fact that like how much of their life has been shrouded in dust and darkness or whatever. So, so they want they want to get somewhere. And I wondered if that would resonate for younger viewers.
Yeah.
In terms of Covenant and Prometheus and to a degree Resurrection, like you had like scientists, you had professionals.
Right.
And one thing that I really missed from the first three was a working class divide.
Yeah.
Ripley was the working class character in Aliens, for example. Like she's the dock loader.
Yeah.
And then in 3, you've got all these prisoners or whatever. In 4, you've got some rogues. But in this one, I was like, finally, we've got like poor kids.
Right.
Like who
right.
are not doctors, scientists. They're not professional. They're not Marines. And so, I mean, one problem is that they're still pretty good at things.
Yes.
But still, I like the idea that we were getting back to working class people who are not like experts.
Right.
Well, what about the theme around upgrades?
Yeah.
Because that
That
was
is
very
interesting.
key, I thought.
Yes.
I fully agree.
I'm
Yeah.
curious what you guys thought of that.
Well, can you give us a quick lowdown? Where did you start with that?
So Andy is the android who's been like programmed by Rain's father, right?
I believe so.
And he's like an older model, and he is, I would argue, represented as like neurodivergent or
Yes.
having a
Definitely.
disability.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm curious for our thoughts on how that's represented and treated. But then he's treated. There's all this prejudice against him, like he's bullied and by these people that he's like potentially working with, but also with strangers. Yeah. And then when he interfaces with Rook not only rewrites his directives, but gives him an upgrade.
Yeah.
And that makes him more
Capable.
And he can do
Like
things
more adult.
faster,
Yeah.
more adult,
his
and
language, the way he speaks changes. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's nefarious. It's represented as a kind of nefarious thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So much so that by the end of the movie, he's degraded.
Right.
Downgraded. That's the
Back
word.
to where he was.
But then meanwhile, what we discover, yet again, we learn more about what the company wants. I'm ambivalent about that, but they want this fluid to give human. I think Rook even says like to give humanity an upgrade. Basically. And the idea is to produce some kind of species that's going to do more labor and colonization better. I don't know how that was.
Like maybe,
Yeah, okay. I don't know. That blue dude didn't look at the end like he was going to be doing a lot of work, but whatever.
Right.
Nonetheless, it's good to have dreams. And so, but like the company wants humanity to upgrade and sees us as obsolete.
Yeah.
Right? Like poorly designed.
We are the old. Yeah.
And then the movie itself is, as you say, like a requel. It's trying to upgrade Alien for a new generation.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So I guess those are the ways I saw the theme.
Yeah. I think also like just in terms of like upgrading and like something that kept coming to my mind is like anxieties around like current anxieties about upgrading humans. And specifically, I mean like AI. And ways that it kind of is slowly replacing the work that people do. And I think that we should mark how, Andy's humanity is noted by his brokenness, right? The ways in which he seems, neurodivergent or disabled or like whatever it is. And then the second that he's not that anymore, he's also not human anymore.
Yes.
He's much more robotic, much very unsympathetic, very, sort of sociopathic.
Yes.
I see this movie too as like kind of reflecting an anxiety about human replacement, which I guess is what you're saying is like, is my
No, I think that
longer-winded way of saying it.
No, totally.
And I think that makes sense for like if this movie is meant to be like the upgrade for Alien, the Alien franchise for the younger generation, that makes sense that would be what they would be playing on, because I feel like yeah, we as adults, older, whatever, millennials, have fears about AI and stuff, but I feel like the younger generation, it's like very different. And they're like they have never lived in a world without the concept of things being upgraded.
Yeah.
Like, we have experienced that.
Yeah.
So I think that it is a way to also make it relatable to them.
Well, except that we have I'll say like a Gen Z character who is like very skeptical of artificial people. So I wonder how that fits in everything.
Did we learn why?
Yeah, he's skeptical because a synthetic essentially led to the death of his mother in the mines. Like it was used to like make a call that in a very utilitarian way saved 12 miners at the expense of 3, one of which was his mother. And so so there's like this interesting kind of like skepticism that even these young people show toward the realness of Andy, so to speak.
But I think that's like what young people are going through. Like they're like dealing with AI and ChatGPT and Midjourney and all this, looking at photographs and trying to determine whether or not they're AI. So I feel like the skepticism is forming.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And it is interesting that the plot hinges on Andy. They need Andy.
Yeah.
To essentially
be a tool.
Yeah.
So they need him to get into the Romulus and
because
Remus.
he can communicate with Mother, right?
But they also need him to pilot them to Yuvaga.
Right.
And he knows he's not going to get to go to Yuvaga because you're not allowed to have synthetics there. So there's this really interesting... I don't know.
So they're they depend on him, but they also don't want to.
They depend on him, but they don't want to acknowledge... They won't acknowledge his humanity because, is he human? There's something in this movie that is... that kind of floats to the surface that I think is a really kind of brave question to ask in the day and age, which is if you can't tell, this may be slightly tangential and I apologize, but if you can't tell whether or not something is human, does it matter? And that is a thing that keeps coming up, I feel like, in this movie, and it's not a question that's necessarily... I'm not sure it's answered by the film, but I appreciate that they keep floating it throughout.
Can you give an example?
Rain seems really dead set on Andy's humanity, right? She will not acknowledge that he is a tool made to serve people. On the opposite side of that, you have pretty much everybody else on that crew who's really ready to accept that Andy is not a person. And so I think that we are left... A lot of the tension in this movie is about, should we acknowledge that Andy is a person or not? When he's very easy to sympathize with early on, when he's broken and he needs constant rebooting, and he seems really dedicated to Rain and whatever it takes for Rain to be happy. Then they start playing with that sympathy because then he becomes, much more oriented to Weyland-Yutani, which we as fans of the Alien franchise know to suspect and know is not really in the interest of humanity. And yet he's not, he's not killing these kids.
No,
he's actually acting in a hyper competent way that actually keeps them alive while still getting his job done as a Weyland-Yutani piece of technology. And so I just think that in playing with our sympathies with Andy, we're raising this question of his humanity. Is he human? And if we can't tell the difference, I think we owe it to ourselves in a kind of philosophical way to ask if it matters or not,
When you said that he doesn't kill the kids, I was thinking when he has the quote unquote upgrade from what's the robot's name?
Rook.
Former Ash.
Yeah, former Ash. Yeah. I keep wanting to call him
CGI
Ash.
We'll discuss.
CGI Ash. There is a moment where I guess for the protection of a couple of them, he doesn't open the door for the girl. And the alien does kill her, so...
Well,
it doesn't, though.
It doesn't.
It doesn't?
No. It takes her, and they eventually rescue her again.
That's right, it does.
It's a real problem for me. Well, I'll save it.
Yeah.
But
he might not have known that. Like, he may have been making a hard call there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it was to protect more... Like, it would be like you'd end up with more alive people.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Right.
If the alien did kill her.
But I think he's ultimately motivated by the fact that he needs to get this serum back to...
Yes.
But still, like, it seems like he does what is within his power while still following this directive to keep the people around him alive. It seems to me.
No, I would agree. And I think, I mean, one of the things that we'll talk about in the critique of it maybe is, or I don't even know if this counts as critique or as themes, but much of the film is callbacks to earlier films in the franchise, like very explicit nods. And so even the like, do we open the door or not is explicitly a replay of Alien, and does Ripley open the door or not?
Yes.
And Ash is the one who opens the door. You know, and in this film, we reversed it. Now Ash doesn't, or, you know, whatever. Andy doesn't open the door. And so, anyway, you know, but at the same time, this kind of question of, like, can you trust him is, I agree with you, like, really interesting and played in a different way. Like, in most of the other films, robots are all obviously not to be trusted.
Right.
And so it is unusual to have a character like Rain who does sympathize and care. I will say Ripley's defining trait is like, fuck robots.
Right.
Until, you know, what's his face?
Aliens. In Aliens, there's like a...
By the
robot.
end, what's his... how am I forgetting his name?
I don't remember his name.
Oh my God. This is going to bother me so much later. Anyway, whatever. But I was just going to say, what do we make of the fact that Andy's black? And like, what role does the tensions here around his humanity and his relative authority play? I thought, I mean, I at first I was like really uncomfortable with the film's kind of alignment of blackness and disability and this kind of patronizing attitude towards him. And then I thought, as the plot goes on, it does get interesting what it's doing with that to some degree. But I kept thinking, on the one hand, the film has this kind of, we have a diverse cast, but in no way does it seem to be trying to say or do anything with race.
Right.
And then on the other hand, like the racialization of Andy seems so key to the treatment of him by others, which we read as prejudice.
Yes.
So I don't know. I didn't know what to make of that.
I was thinking that too when the movie first starts and we get introduced to Andy and Rain, and you know, Andy is possibly neurodivergent or just seems that way as an older robot that hasn't been upgraded, which also feels a little problematic. He's
like broken. He's like a scrap robot.
It's like saying that if you're neurodivergent, you're broken.
You're kind of broken. Yeah. No, that's fair. And that you need an upgrade, or right, or that your brain is broken,
and that will make you somehow a more like normal person.
But it also takes away your humanity.
Well, also that's also problematic because I think a lot of people will say like people with Down syndrome are very like, you know, like sweet and like, you know, nice, and they're just like it's not a bad,
like an infantilizing.
Yes. Okay. And I do think that is going along with this you know, he's neurodivergent so he's more humane type thing. I was like having complicated feelings. I was like, so this white woman is essentially taking care of a black man and telling him what to do? That seems weird. Like she's telling him, don't move and stand there and just do this. Like that just seems...
Well, and how about his directive is to serve her?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean...
Yeah. And then at the end, she's like, serve us. She's not like, she's still like, he's still enslaved to her, basically. Like
she says, do what's in our best, or in the best interest of us.
Yeah, which is still including her.
No, yeah.
Like, you know, so
I completely agree.
I feel like... The movie, I feel like this is an instance where it's like, let's just have a diverse cast, but we're not going to do anything with race and we're not going to think about it.
The only pushback I would say to that is like, it does feel like by making him become more, but not villainous, but like she can't trust him anymore. She's anxious. it does like throw into question her patronizing
That's interesting.
and her assumption that he should just serve her.
That's interesting.
So that was my favorite part of the movie, was the like, oh, like we're gonna do something maybe with
do
this.
You think it
No,
up?
no,
Okay.
I don't think it did. But there was a hot second where I was like, oh, it's gonna deal with the fact that like he was a servant, he was like her black servant who's now like who's going to resist that, and that does not get dealt with at all.
She should have said like your new objective, or what is it?
Yeah, directive.
Just do what's good for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And
that would have been a big change. You know what I mean?
That would have
been a
made
big change.
sense too.
And that would have been doing something.
Yeah, totally.
With that, but instead she said, "Do what's best for us," which is still problematic.
But I was kind of intrigued by the idea of like family in this, and I was curious what you all made of that. So we've got like Andy is a kind of surrogate father and brother.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
We've got, because like he's a gift from the father, right? But essentially they're siblings.
Yeah.
And then you've got like the cousins dynamic. Bjorn and Kay are cousins, and one of the things the film implies but doesn't explicitly state, but was, I think, in the original script, is that Bjorn is the father of Kay's baby.
I thought it did suggest that.
And so we've got this incest plot.
Yeah.
And, and then, I don't know, felt like there was some other parental kinship stuff. And so anyway, I was kind of curious what you guys made of that. Like, is it saying anything about family?
Yeah. One of my topics that I wrote down, because I like to give them quippy titles, and it's called Andy and the Two Dads. Because I think one dad is, of course, the now dead dad, who picked him up and repurposed him and turned him into a servant for Rain / a sibling, if you want to go there. But then I also think he finds an interesting dad in Rook. I don't really have a good vocabulary to describe this, but I feel like there are stories about like people taken from like where they're from and like have to learn to adopt like a new culture, a new life, and then there's tension when people put pressure on them to like sort of respect their original like heritage or where they're from, and so I felt like there was like kind of like something along those lines going on here in a weird way.
That's interesting
with the artificial people. But like, again, what is it? It doesn't pay. I don't think it pays off. I don't think it says
I do
anything
agree.
about it.
I do.
Like,
nor does the incest.
No.
Which like you could say thematically is connected to her having like a creepy baby.
I was going to say
but
that's
that has
the most
nothing
it
to
does
do
with it. And it doesn't actually, the movie doesn't remind you of the possible incest at that point. So by that point, like, I had forgotten
totally
that was a possibility.
Like in the end, he rejects Rook and he chooses essentially the life that Rain's father gave him. But I think, especially in our discussions of like servitude, I think that there's something kind of problematic in that too. So yeah, I don't know. Like, it doesn't give me warm feels at the end. And it also doesn't give me. It doesn't give me bad feels in the good way that horror is supposed to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
It doesn't. Yeah.
I do think this speaks to a problem that I have with, and it came up a bit in our Alien series pod, but Prometheus, Covenant, and Romulus, yes, they have the aesthetics of the Alien series, and yes, they have a woman with a androgynous name and short hair, and yet, like, those women are not really the main characters.
No.
Yeah.
And it is the boy robots that are largely the main characters. And in this film, like, I loved the actor playing Andy, and I really did think it was a kind of an interesting idea. It is true that androids are always essential to the alien universe, and yet I still felt like, here we go again. Like, it's all like the excitement about boy robots, and what is Rain's plot? What is her arc? What is her story?
Yes, and I felt that while watching it, because I was thinking about that with like strong women leads in alien movies. I think she's bland. I think she's forgettable. And the one thing that, because I was waiting for the sexist moment, because I find this director to be sexist.
I've never seen anything else by Fidel.
I don't like his movies. He did Don't Breathe. He did Don't Breathe 2. I find them to be extremely sexist.
Evil Dead reboot.
Oh, I did see that.
The
okay.
2013 one. Yeah.
Not a fan, but yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't like him. I don't trust that he will make a movie without any sexism in it. And this is not critique. But it
Sounds like critique.
no, it's not. So there's a moment.
Jen says that to me all the time. This is a critique.
when Teagan wakes up in the morning, I'm like, this is not critique. But have you looked in the mirror?
You're giving Xenomorph, Henny.
Brutal.
No, but what you were saying about the character is that, like, I do think that there are subtle moments that we get where we're shown that she is not a strong female character. Andy, or the boy that she's interested in, I don't know their names, whatever his name is, he pulls out the gun and he's the one that explains to her how to use the gun. But
the aim assist, because you're a woman and you can't shoot a gun.
But
that
I was
drove me
thinking, I was
crazy.
like, if this was a true alien film, she would have known how to use the gun, I feel like. So, like, I'm just thinking, like, is there... I didn't pick up on other sexist moments, but I will ask you both, did you see anything else in the movie that read as sexism?
Well, to be honest, I didn't. But, I mean, that's probably a function of just, like, my frame of reference and my privilege and all that shit. I mean, I'm sure it's in there. I mean, what we're talking about here about, this being an alien film, but it really being focused on this boy robot really speaks to me about, a really deep structural way that it's not a particularly feminist film.
So that specific scene, I completely agree with you. It felt to me, the few things were going on there. Number one, it's like, oh, here's another callback. Remember in Aliens when Hicks teaches Ripley how to use the machine guns? But you'll remember in that scene, he's like, basically, here's how to shoot. And Ripley's like, well, if you're going to show me the whole thing. I want to see everything. You know what I mean? And so it's like, it's a scene of, like, it makes sense. She's not a soldier. He is. There's, she doesn't, there is the patronizing element to it.
But she still has agency.
But she has agency and pushes back. And it's like, oh, yeah, I want to learn. And then she is the one at the end carrying the gun and encountering the queen, which we didn't really talk about that scene. I want to come back to that. But nonetheless, so there is a version of that scene. It feels like they're just calling back to it. And I felt like they're anticipating sexist boys who watch these movies and are like, girls wouldn't know how to do that. Like, whatever. Girls don't know. It's a Mary Sue. It's a girl with, like, who has all this ability without being trained. So it's like, don't worry. Later, when she shoots all those xenomorphs and explodes all that acid blood, don't worry. It's because the gun did it for her. So it's like both the nostalgia and the sexism mushing together. In terms of other sexist things in the film, I would say I felt the entire function and movement of the pregnant character through the story was just fundamentally ridiculous and sexist. Like, in the sense that her entire purpose narratively is to be a pregnant woman who can give birth to, like, heinous, creepy baby. She is in no way a character. She is in no way given any identity other than mom. Right. And it was also so ridiculous because of the ways in which her body is just thrown around
and she's
endlessly.
My God, yes.
And so it's like she would have miscarried at some point or whatever. I mean, I don't know.
The two things that you mentioned, though,
thought that as well.
Interesting. Because how would these things relate to the younger generation? Like a man showing a woman a gun. Like, it feels like those things would not resonate with that generation, but maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I think that we're in the middle of like a pretty intense, like, resurgence of, like, real intense sexism and misogyny in our culture, and I can absolutely imagine how a big studio film with a million comments about its script and a million this and that, and just trying to appease as many people as possible, can cave to subtle tendencies of the culture that will consume it. I mean, I think that's not crazy to me.
No, that makes
like,
to me now.
I think there's always been a tension in Alien fans, like between those who love Aliens, who love the video game action-y vibe, and those who love Alien, or dare I say Alien 3, where it's like not an action movie and it's more about, philosophical ideas and gender anxiety, right?
Yeah.
And it's like those two parts of the fan base sometimes don't overlap at all. And so anyway, I can imagine them trying to, but it is an interesting question. I almost felt like this character who's a woman, or not a woman, who's a mother or a soon-to-be mother, this pregnant woman character, she is just kind of a prop. And I don't know how a young audience would relate to that, but if they are not themselves anticipating having children soon or any time soon, maybe it would make sense to imagine a character as, I don't know.
It could feel maybe that dread that we talked about in the other episode. Like maybe they would be like, oh, like we don't want that. So that feels like...
Because this movie ends with the horror of birth, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's so ingrained in the Alien franchise.
Well, I was actually going to ask you both. Because we were talking about like her basically just as a mother or a pregnant character. Yeah. How do you both feel about like motherhood and birth as a concept in the Alien films? I don't know, like... Yeah.
Before we talk about motherhood and birth, can we talk about fucking for a second?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean that comes before. So.
Right, exactly. Because
first comes love, guys.
Right, of course.
Not always, Teagan.
What are you saying?
Well, I thought that this movie, where I'm sliding into critique. I'm sorry, everybody.
We can go there.
Oh, Harry's doing it this time. I've been trying so hard.
But I thought that this movie approached sex in just the driest way I can possibly imagine. In a topic that I wrote down on my phone as Andy and the MILF. I feel like they attempt this kind of sort of like coming of age, losing your virginity kind of thing with Andy, where he sticks his finger for the first time in the mother ship and mother, and they make this joke about like, well, you're not a virgin anymore. Oh
my God.
And then like at this point and then like soon after that he like receives this upgrade which like turns him into like a man.
A man.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And he does all sorts of man things like kicking an alien ass. So all left this, that, and the other. Ultimately has to kind of like sacrifice himself in this very like traditionally heroic way. And I just wondered if y'all had did you have any thoughts about like this idea of like sexuality and its tie to like traditional conceptions of manhood? Was there anything else in that? I mean, or is it just another thing that they just like flirt with and do nothing with?
I feel like they don't. I feel like unfortunately they don't do much with it. I feel like it feels like very sterile. Like the movie.
Well,
feels
that's what
very
I'm saying.
So
like,
sterile.
it's fucking, but it's not. It's like
it feels. And even the like connection, I put that in quotations, between Rain and the guy that she's like possibly had a thing with.
I think that's Navarro, right?
Is that?
I keep mistaking
I know
who is.
none of
I
their
don't.
names.
Yeah.
None of the characters' names stuck with. Even Rain, I'm like, who is that?
Like Hunky Kid, you mean?
Yeah,
like
think
Hunky
so.
Kid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Hunky Kid.
Yeah.
Like even their
Like a poor man's Gale.
Wait, he's Tyler.
Oh, that's
Tyler?
I think
There
so.
was a Tyler? I just watched this movie.
All these fucking kids. They
Jesus
don't
Christ, there's too many.
have any characters. All right,
think
sorry.
so.
Continue.
But
Sorry.
Okay, well, anyway, that kid, even their connection feels like, I don't know, it just feels sexless. Like I get maybe they're broken up.
Well, and it's interesting
but,
too
like,
because all of the sex has happened,
Yeah.
right? Like the girl is already
You're right,
pregnant,
yeah.
right? Like they're it's weird.
Yep, their relationship, Rain and whoever the fuck the Hunky Kid, has already happened.
Right,
like
right.
these
Yes,
things
yes.
are like in the past. Like we're not seeing them. I do feel like this is something that's come up in a couple of
Right.
our other podcasts where I feel like very intentional for the younger generation is to have a very sexless.
Yeah, there's
movie.
a modern sort of skittishness about
Yeah.
seeing sex.
Yes. or showing desire
or showing pleasurable sex. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I completely agree with that. To your point, yeah. I mean, I think we're in this age of like fear of sex. It makes sense, I guess, that these studio movies want to avoid it to some degree, whatever, to reach the widest possible audience. But it's also an R-rated alien movie,
right?
And so yeah, it's still so strange to me that you've got this monster that has the head of a penis, has vagina dentata, it like orally rapes you, it explodes out of your chest in some horror of pregnancy thing, and none of that is actually thematically or narratively taken up or connected. It's all like visually there, and we've got a pregnant woman who then gives birth at the end, but even that is not really central to the narrative that's being told. And so, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say you're right. It's all visually there because there's the moment with the kid is like looking up at the alien vagina.
The slimy vulva, the slimy devastating vulva.
Exactly
Absolutely.
And it's like dripping acid cum on it. Or, discharge.
It's very moist.
We don't need to say that. Yeah.
And he sticks his cattle prod in it with this kind of rage.
You want to talk about an attempted abortion, right? For the Alien franchise. I mean, there's like a real...
And it is...
But like, what are you... Yeah.
But it's also unclear to me why... I mean, I did feel to me there was a lot of male rage underneath this film. Mm-hmm. And... at the same time, to go to your question about other sexist moments and things that I hated, Andy saving Rain and then being like, "Get away from her,
you bitch!"
You bitch.
Yeah, I hated
and it
that.
was like you've taken the iconic line from this like feminist character and given it to a boy, and like also put it in a scene where it's utterly irrelevant and makes no sense. Like it's one alien of 1,000 he's just murdered. So it's not like And then anyway,
no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's
so
a total misappropriation of that line.
But I kept thinking too, it's like, okay, so if this film is for younger people, like, what are they going to make of all the callbacks? Everything is a callback.
Yeah.
And, like, if that's for me, because I'm a fan of the film and I recognize all of these things, they just make me roll my eyes and annoyed. Yeah. So I'm like, but maybe I'm not... is there an audience member who's like, yeah, like the robot said the line, or, oh my God, she's wearing the Converse. That's from the first movie, the Converse shoes, or like, oh my God, like, I can't even name to you the number of callbacks there are.
No, absolutely. It's a movie. Again, I hate to keep bringing up Star Wars, but like
it is very Force Awakens.
It's a lot like the Force Awakens, where it's like a blender of old moments, right? Like
even the ending with the fucking alien baby, like,
which was like, hey, Prometheus fans, we still care about you.
Yeah,
come on, this is for you too.
Which okay, because I know we're in critique now. I remember when we saw this at the theater, and that moment happened.
Wait, which part?
Well, when they go into the lab and Rook explains the backstory, and then in the music, there is a moment of playing the Prometheus theme song over the score.
And Teagan, I just see her sitting in the chair, and she's like, oh, my fucking God. She was just so pissed.
Oh.
So
pissed. I was like, well, at least we're rebooting
and I was
this,
like,
and
I don't know
we're getting
what's
away
happening.
from the black goo that is never going to be explained. Nope, we're bringing that back. We're going to reverse engineer it, and we're bringing back Wayland Yutani, or Mr. Wayland, who yearned for immortality and the answers to life. Nope, that's back. Everything counts.
Yeah.
And I was like, I get it. Ridley Scott was a producer on this film and was like, you better not edit me out.
Right.
But this production by committee just makes meaningless slop.
It does.
And
it does.
It makes me sad.
And I think a lot of the meaningless slop also goes with a lot of the things we've been saying, where we're like, okay, there's this idea. Does it go anywhere? No. Like, there's a lot of
it's
ideas.
It's such a superficial practice.
Yes.
It's such a superficial practice to like take the stuff that they think people like about this movie without any of the deeper consideration for why it resonates with people.
Yes.
Yep.
And to just throw those up on the screen for us. Some of it's quite subtle, right? Like the Converse.
Yes.
Some of it's like blatant and in your face, like get away from her, you bitch, right? But it all just kind of amasses to this big, mediocre, like emptiness, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
There were so many times when I was watching this film where I was like, oh, they just thought this shot would look cool. Like, there are some really
it's very pretty.
pretty shots. Like,
there's some cool shots.
There are. But I was like, did they really think about the characters or the plot?
Yeah.
Because the characters, I would say, besides Rain and Andy, are pretty damn forgettable. And considering we can't remember their names or who they are, is
they're completely dispensable. I mean, absolutely.
They have no discerning personalities except you're like, oh, the one's more of an asshole. Like, okay.
And I was so frustrated that Navarro, who I'm now correctly calling Navarro, that Navarro gets killed so quickly. First, I thought her character was kind of interesting. I liked her performance. But also, like, she gets face hugged and it's like instant. Like, you know, the gestation yet again is inconsistent or whatever.
But the other one takes like the whole fucking movie.
Yeah. And like they are bickering characters who are miserable people. And I was like, I don't care about any of you and I don't care about whether you get out. And even Rain from the beginning is like, forget you guys, I'm leaving. And then it's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll come along. And it's like, it's just so ho-hum their relationship to one another.
Yeah. This sort of like ragtag. I guess what they have in common is like a lack of parental supervision, right? They're all kind of orphans on this like slavery planet and I don't think that, but that's not enough to make me feel like they're connected to each other.
Right,
you know? Like,
right. Yeah, so I'm really curious to get your takes on the, blue baby at the end of this movie, which is the big, reveal.
The reveal,
The big reveal. It's been building up.
No, just to be clear, I need to know, Harry, do you see this baby as blue too?
I will be perfectly honest with you. It did not strike me as blue.
Okay, great.
What color is it?
It's just
kind of black and pale, maybe.
Like a white,
just like a pale
beige.
I thought it was supposed to be like the engineers in Prometheus.
I think the face.
Because it kind of looks like.
I think the faces.
You're not the only one to say that too.
Oh, okay.
I've done a little bit of research.
I mean, to be fair, like I think the face.
By research,
is
I mean
very
Reddit,
engineered.
of course.
Reddit. I mean, it's like Wikipedia research.
Yeah.
Is it?
I mean,
but yeah, were you excited when the baby came out and it was I have a human face?
I will say I had fun with it. I liked the scene. Because I had also kind of forgotten the resurrection baby. So it actually did feel kind of like fresh in a movie that, aside from maybe a scene or two, felt kind of not fresh. And I thought it was scary. It was the first time I was like scared in this movie. So I mean, I was feeling it. I didn't like that they, she has to, of course, dispose it exactly how Ripley disposes of the alien, and we just have to keep shooting things out of airlocks. That seems to be the only thing to do.
Except in Alien 3.
Right, of course.
Molten
you
lead.
Just dump it in some molten lead. That's right.
And then put water on it.
That's right. That's right. But that's my take on the baby. Jen?
Yeah, to be honest with you, similarly, I had never seen Prometheus. Oh, I had seen Resurrection.
Sorry, Prometheus.
But I had not seen Prometheus or Covenant before Romulus. And I did not remember Resurrection at all. At all. So the baby at the end was also felt new to me.
Yeah.
So when Teagan was sighing with frustration next to me in the movie theater, I was like, I don't know why. This feels different.
Yeah. I only learned about the whole like engineer interpretation after the fact. It did not occur to me in the moment.
When Teagan said it and then I watched those movies, I was like, oh, I can see it in the face and the eyes.
Yeah.
But then when I rewatched it, I was like, okay, well, the back is interesting. The way it's like sculpted into these like whole things, and the tail felt kind of new. I don't know.
I mean, that's the xenomorph, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I do wish it had a little bit more xenomorph than human in it. It felt like 60% human, 40%
yes, I agree.
xenomorph. So I'd like to see more of a 50-50. I think the thing that my brain did, I was like, why is it so big so fast? And I was like, okay. And I also felt like it was giving me Smile the end of Smile, Marilyn Manson vibes.
Oh, interesting.
And I was like, I don't love that.
I can see that with the stance.
Yeah. It feels like very 90s music video.
Sweet dreams are made of these. You guys have been sick for like a month. I'm in prime Marilyn Manson voice. Sorry, Teagan, what do you think of it though?
Well, it's so interesting to hear you guys say that, and I think it's kind of refreshing to hear, because I'm like, I feel like definitely watching this movie, I was like, I guess I'm too old now for this, or I'm too cynical. I've seen too many of them, because I was like, we did this already in Alien Resurrection in 1997, guy, or whatever, 98, I don't know. Like, we've already seen Human Alien Hybrid, and we've seen, we saw it at the end of Prometheus, with the whatever. So I think I was a little too cynical for it. At the same time, I did think it was shot pretty well. I thought it was kind of fun. The way it's presented, and it did get a reaction in the theater, like when there's the cut to the face, kind of in the corridor or the ventilation shaft or whatever, and it's like derp. It looks a little derpy. The audience definitely was like, "Wah!" And that was fun. But I do have to say, on the one hand, I'm like, I think Prometheus started to go in this direction and people didn't want it. They were like, I want xenomorphs. Give me xenomorphs, motherfuckers. Yeah. And they're like, okay, we'll always give you an alien. But I do think that there's some interesting possibilities for hybridizing, and Alien 3, it was the first one to be like, what if the alien came out of a different animal? Yeah. Like, what if it came out of an ox or a dog or whatever? But they didn't really go that far with it, like changing the look of it. Right, and I always thought, so I do think there's some promise here if they build on it. On the other hand, I saw somebody say this, I think on Reddit, but they described the black goo as Ridley Scott's midi-chlorians, which will mean nothing to you. But in the prequels, they invent this kind of explanation that can kind of do anything, whatever they want, know? And I did feel that a bit, like she injects herself with this goo, and I was like, well, why doesn't she transform? Right? Yeah. We saw the rat transform. Yeah. Shouldn't she? Why is it just the baby? I felt frustrated that her perspective in that scene isn't the most significant perspective. Yes. And it's like kind of, I don't know. But whatever, it was fun.
Like the whole rest of the movie, she is a vessel to deliver that egg, and then once it's out, she's dead. And that's it.
Can I ask about CGI Ash?
Yeah. Oh my god!
Yes. How did we hate it, or did we really hate it?
It was so
I hated it.
Bad.
Why did we need that? Why did we even need it to be Ash? I know it's Rook.
And why does it look so bad? Like, why is his face?
I don't know why it's it's 2025. Goddammit, why can't it look better? But for me, again, that's another example of just one of those awful nostalgia grabs that just fuck you, man.
Yeah, I did not need it.
Mm-mm. It's just so amusing to me to imagine like young people being like, "Oh my God, Ian Holm, he's back!" Like they wouldn't know who this is, right? Your confused face is confirmed.
Who's Ian Holm?
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's the actor who's dead, and his family agreed that they could use his likeness and produce his face with a combination of AI and CGI.
Because they get money, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But they claim like, oh, he was always sad that he wasn't involved in the later franchise, and he would have loved this, and blah 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 blah. But I'm really uncomfortable with the idea of like resurrecting dead actors and exploiting their labor. Makes me feel uncomfortable. And then also, again, like I don't know what it's served in the film other than just be like, remember this?
Yeah. It could have been any fucking robot. It didn't have to because it wasn't Ash. So,
because I think that, if I'm trying to intellectualize this beyond what it deserves, I would say that it is, again, all the appeal to authenticity. I would say it's all about trying to convince younger viewers and older viewers alike that this is an Alien sequel unlike other Alien sequels that have happened recently, and that it is somehow more authentic. It is just such a dumb way to try to do that.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Is this the first Alien movie? It is. It's the first Alien movie after it was bought by Disney.
Okay.
It was bought in 2019.
No wonder I got Star Wars vibes
Covenant
from
was
it too.
2017. So this is the first of many
Also,
Disney
Alien films.
because we've got the Alien Earth series coming on Hulu.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, get ready for just like the blender.
But it's gonna be so annoying because Disney, it's like too much.
Yes.
Like you don't need all of it. Like it's just like
Of course you don't. No.
And it's not risky. It's like the
Well, when you
aesthetics
said
of
it was-
risk without real.
when you said it was rated R, I was like,
Isn't it?
really?
I think it is.
It
I'm
did
sure
not.
it is. Yeah, I'm sure it is. But you're right. You're absolutely right about it saying it's the aesthetics of Risk, or actually, it's the aesthetics of former Risk, because it's not risky anymore because people
No.
like it now, right? But it's not risky in
No, that's
itself
true.
because
Right.
it's too calculated to, maximize profit or like whatever the fuck, right? Like
This movie was originally intended to be released on Hulu, but Disney moved it to a theatrical release before filming commenced. Interesting that it was going to be a Hulu film, but I can't find quickly whether it was rated R, but I think so.
I think it is.
I want to know, what would you guys have wanted, or what do you want in the series? What would you have done with the sequels? What are things? I'll say one thing off the bat.
Sure.
I think so. Okay. One of the things I do like about Aliens is that James Cameron kind of expanded, I don't want to call it the mythology, but like let's call it the society of the aliens. Like it introduced the idea that there's a queen and that there's drones and that the queen has some sentience and care over her brood. And I was like, always thought that was so fascinating. And I thought there's like, you could expand the world of Alien, not by going backwards to their origins, but by exploring like in what ways are they like other insect colonies?
Right.
And like there are fascinating things about ants and bees and cockroaches and how they have social bonds and behaviors and things like but they're radically distinct from human characteristics and human plots. So I've always thought it was a shame that they didn't explore like just other elements of like, okay, well, once the aliens reform their society, what is that? Because it's not just that they want humans, right? They're not just like...
They must do something by themselves when there are no humans around,
right?
right? Like,
So I always thought that was a missed opportunity. But the other thing is, so longtime fans of the series will know that there are many video games, but Alien Isolation is arguably, I would argue, the best Alien video game. It's incredible. And part of me wishes they had just made that into the film. And Fede Alvarez said that the Alien Isolation was a big aesthetic inspiration for this film. And it's true. The structure of the space station and what happens with the space station is very, very similar to the game. But the premise of the game is basically like Amanda Ripley, like Ripley's daughter, is like searching for her mother. She's like, why did my mother abandon me? What happened to her? And they have the Nostromo's flight recorder, but she's trying to find her mother. Yeah. And she's like a working class grunt or whatever, and she like, goes to the space station in the hopes of finding out information. And I just was like, there's your movie. Like because there's a character that longtime fans would be into. And there's a way to expand the universe that's already built in. We know that she has this daughter, and what happened to her? And what, yes, we know she died when she's like 80 or whatever, but we don't, I think there's pathos, like to be abandoned by your mother and to not know why and she finds some clues. I don't know.
I
just
kinda
always
love
wish
that.
that's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, I
You're
think that would work really well too, because it's like, it's literally just Teagan's just dropping shit over
Sorry.
there.
dropping bombs, you mean?
It's instead of doing like a prequel or some bullshit like that, like an origin story, it's literally like being like, oh no, this is part of the timeline that we've been in that we just haven't seen, but it's actually related to Ripley. I think that would be interesting.
Because Ripley is the story for me.
I agree. Yeah.
My answer is like maybe kind of cheap, but like,
yeah, tell me.
I think that there just like shouldn't be more.
Ooh.
I
agree with you.
I don't think
Yes,
I'm gonna
hot
say
takes.
some shit. I don't think that there should be more Alien films. I don't think there should be more Star Wars films. I don't think that there should be more fucking any brutally proliferated franchises that are just out there. I think they're shit. And I like just want. I think about this a lot. I think that this goes to the reason that these things keep being profitable is because we in our society actually have like really huge hangups about finality, and death is really what it goes to. And I think that it has gotten to the point where it's like now kind of eating our stories, and it makes me like really profoundly sad. So I think that like if I was gonna have another Alien movie, I guess I would want it to be like the end of the Alien movies, or like in some way. I don't know how.
I agree with Harry. Like honestly, I don't know. If they're gonna make another one, great. It could be cool to see her daughter, but also, nah, I don't really care. Like we've had too many, and the last 3 sucked.
Yeah.
So
well, and I recognize that my perspective is like. It's kind of naive. Like we're getting more Alien. We're getting more Star Wars. We're getting more all this shit.
Yeah,
like,
you're going to eat this
We
slop.
can't control this
and
shit.
we're gonna watch it.
And we're going to watch it. But, like, I just kind of wish I didn't have to. You know? Like...
Well, okay, but if you were... I guess, not to push this further, but I am curious, like, if you had to pitch either a sequel, a reboot, a requel, a remake, whatever,
Okay.
like, what would you do? I will say the one thing that made me furious about... I don't know. I mean, I have a soft spot for Covenant in its weirdness, but one of the things that deeply bothers me is that I think the end logic of those movies, of all of them, is basically the problem that Star Wars also has, which is like, oh my God, there's this expansive, huge universe, and it becomes super tiny suddenly. It's like, oh, actually, you thought you'd encountered this truly other alien Lovecraftian species, but actually humans manufactured it.
Right.
And how did that happen?
Right.
Because we made robots, and then robots like made these alien. Anyway, it just makes it such a small world.
Yeah,
and
you're
that's
absolutely
always
right,
bothered
yeah.
me. But yeah, I am curious if you had to.
If I had to
If
pitch
you had
the
to
next
pitch.
Alien
Yeah,
film.
what would you want to watch?
Yeah, what slop would you sell to these masses afraid of death?
Jen, do you have an idea? 'Cause I got to cut this up. You're telling me to write... You're asking me to write a movie right
We
now.
can just cut this out. We can cut it out. We don't have to say.
I want to see Alien versus Chucky.
Oh,
Yes!
Like, I don't care anymore about the alien mythology, but I'd watch more like versus movies.
You love
Like
Alien versus
versus Art the Clown.
Damn.
Yeah.
Alien versus the Thing.
Yeah, I'd watch that. I can't think of other things right now.
There is a long-standing Batman versus Aliens like comic, which is like truly bizarre to me. Like I'm always like the Alien is the worst thing to mash up with other series.
Yes,
because
yes,
it's
yes,
just like it's just the evil cockroach.
What's
That's
another evil cockroach? Like
Donald Trump. Oh, hot
Hey.
take. Yeah.
that was good.
I'm so edgy. What if there's a Disney executive listening to this podcast and they're like, oh,
They're like,
darn it.
come on, ideas,
Darn it.
come on.
But they're like, dude, quickly get the rights to Chucky.
Oh my God! No! Disney, don't get the rights to Chucky. No, you'll take.
I do. If I were going to do it, I would just bring it back to the core anxieties around otherness and the fear of the body and and give us a character to care about, like someone like Ripley or whatever that we follow. Like I just didn't care about Rain, and I wanted to care about Rain, but
I want to come back to cosmic horror, and I want to not know any again. You know, I want some space miner, like whatever the fuck, to like land on some other new planet, and for there to just be like something totally different that they encounter and have no idea about. Like that's
you
want
want
to
to be in the dark again.
I want to be in the
Watch
dark
it.
about it again. Yeah,
that's what I love about The Thing also. And there are times I think I would this is a hot take. Sometimes I think The Thing is too much of an Alien clone. But I really do like it and love it, in fact. But it has that same cosmic horror thing where it's not just otherness, but it's like the characters are discovering along the way. Yeah. And the physiology and the
well, and the dawning realization that this is like part of this, like what this reveals to us is that the universe is much larger than we are, and it dwarfs us, and that's what scares us, right? Yeah. We should give numbers.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, yes.
Should we rank them and also rate Romulus?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to start by rating Romulus, which I give a 2.
Whoa.
That's insane.
That's mean.
It's the lowest score I've ever given a movie, and I just want to read
What?
you.
Jen, I did not get the sense from this conversation that you like felt this strongly about.
Hold
this movie.
on. Worse than Long Legs. Worse than Attachment.
I'm
trying to think of something.
I
that you
never
didn't
need
like.
to watch this movie again, and
fair
I will
enough.
just write. I'm going to read you what my notes say.
Okay.
The first thing I said, no wonder I fell asleep in the movie theater. This movie is so fucking boring. I am 25 minutes in and I feel like nothing has happened. Nothing happened in 25
minutes. It's like the first 25
I know.
I was like, but it happened. It's so boring the way it happens. It's like things are happening, but also nothing's happening because it happens so fucking slow and everything looks the same the entire time. So I found myself extremely bored. It also, to be fair, falls more on the side of sci-fi.
Okay.
And I find myself often bored when there's more sci-fi.
Yeah, it was definitely sci-fi action.
Probably a preference thing. I don't love sci-fi and I don't love sci-fi action. I need horror in there. So my rankings, though, for the Alien movies.
Let's have it.
Should I start with like
Go lowest to highest.
lowest to highest? Okay. So lowest, Prometheus,
Wow.
then Romulus, then Covenant, then Alien Resurrection, then Alien 3 Assembly Cut, then, wait for it, Alien versus Predator,
Hell yeah.
then the Aliens, but the special edition, and then Alien. Those are my rankings. Who wants to go next?
I'm ready.
All right.
I will give Alien Romulus a 6. But I don't think that. Sorry, that was a lot of attitude.
Jesus.
I will give it a 6.
Is the podcast going to be okay after this? Can you guys survive this?
Yeah.
There's like before Romulus and after Romulus.
Look, our first episode was Skinamarink and we survived.
We did.
Oh, that was...
We made it. I'll give it a 6 because again, I just think that it is just like so middling and mediocre and like adequate in some ways, but like totally inadequate in any meaningful way. And like Sam Lupowitz once said, it's like you want to give it a 3 because of how much of a 5 it is, right? Like that's what it is. For me,
that's a great quote.
Yeah. For me, the rankings are going to be as follows. I will give AVP Requiem on the bottom, Alien Resurrection next up. Then I'll put the first AVP. Then I'll put... Oh my God, this face is like so intense.
Shocking.
I'm shocked too.
This is shocking.
Holy
shocking.
shit.
Then I'm going to put, let's see, like Prometheus, Covenant. Then I'm going to put Aliens. Then I'm going to put Alien 3, because I think Teagan argued so well for it. And then Alien at the top. That's my ranking.
I'm gasp.
Yeah.
I am gagged, as they say. This is incredible.
All right, Teagan, you're up.
My heart says to give Romulus a 4, but my brain says to give it like a 5. So I guess I'll give it a 4.5.
There you go.
Split the difference. And I can't remember, did we give our reasoning why? I guess my reasoning is it's perfectly competent. I had a good time in the movies, I guess. And it's pretty. And I really did like Andy as a concept and a performance. It was watchable. But at the same time, it was not that scary to me at all. And like, anyway, and I've expressed all my other complaints. So here's my ranking in reverse order. Alien vs. Predator Requiem at the bottom. Then Romulus. Then Prometheus. And the reasoning there is like, at least Prometheus took a swing. It did something new.
Yeah.
Alien Covenant, Alien Resurrection, Alien vs. Predator, Aliens, Alien 3 Assembly Cut, and then Alien.
Nice.
I mean, come on, you got the original. Yeah. I thought about putting Assembly Cut at the top, but I was like, come on, who are we kidding? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? All right, don't be contrarian.
But it's like second from the top, right?
Yeah. I do waffle on where to place Aliens, I must confess, but because I think similarly, it's like it's a competent film.
Yeah,
I enjoy watching it, but it just there are certain things.
To me, there's a lot of things that bug me about Aliens. It just feels like a comfort movie to me.
It is cozy.
So I think that's why
cozy.
it's up higher.
Yeah. Can we play the hottest of the hottest?
Oh, yes, we
in all
can.
of the Alien franchise?
Yes.
I have. Listen, y'all. I have what might be some unpopular opinions here.
Yes.
Okay.
Wait,
Okay.
are we doing it for each movie?
Oh, no.
Okay, we're
I'm
just
thinking
doing, like,
let's
one.
pool the entire franchise.
And we just pick one.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Or
I got
two.
it. I got one.
Okay.
Or two. All right, who wants to go first?
I mean, I have her on my arm. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, you have
Bald
to say
Sigourney Weaver.
Someone has
Yeah.
to say Ripley.
she formed my sexuality.
Yep.
My trans identity. Like, she's so hot. That movie begins when she shaves her head. Come on. Okay, so yeah.
No, that's fair.
Mine is Lex from Alien versus Predator.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
I think she's so hot.
That's such a good choice, though. That's
She
such
is
a good choice.
badass. And
She's badass.
really like the one woman of color lead in
Yeah,
these
she's
films,
the
right?
only
one.
As
Yeah.
far as I can remember.
I want to say Idris Elba.
Yes.
Prometheus. Like,
He is.
He's so hot. And he's
Come
like,
on, man.
and as I was watching it, I was like, he's so hot. Why is he in this movie? It doesn't matter.
Well,
He's so
I want to
hot.
say also,
So
just as a sidebar to this conversation, Idris Elba in Prometheus, unbelievably hot. Also, Charlize Theron in Prometheus, in that like skin tight
Yes,
suit thing,
also
Super
so
also
hot.
unbelievably hot.
Yes.
Astonishing that they could make a film with two astronomically hot people and have it be so unsexy.
Yes.
Yeah. And they have no
Unbelievable.
chemistry together at all.
Even the moments where they're like sort of flirting with each
Yeah.
other, I'm like, this is so.
Idris Elba's like,
unsexy.
if you wanted to get laid, you could just gotten laid, and I'm like, wow. I mean, I'll take you up on that, Idris, but yeah.
I thought you guys were going to say Guy Pearce, in all that old makeup.
Oh,
Come on.
God.
Yeah, I mean,
with
that's-
his toenails and his...
That's pretty great.
tone-
I do think, okay, there's a part of me that thinks David is a little hot.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
gotta
yeah,
say.
absolutely.
He
Oh,
can-
with the Fassbender, right? That's
Yeah.
who it is. Yeah.
I've always had a crush on Noomi Rapace. And so, but her character, but when she's running around with like her stapled stomach, and like filled with drugs and sweating, and it makes me feel things.
You were like, oh, that's my type.
Yeah, I was like,
Wow.
post-alien abortion,
surgery.
androgynous.
Should we play the game where we try to fix the movie? We get one change to fix Romulus?
One change.
Yeah.
They decided not to make it.
Oof.
No.
The only thing I can think of is, I mean, that wouldn't be changing everything about the movie, would be to do something with the incest cousin
Yeah.
thing. Because,
I
like,
totally
it's
agree.
right there.
It would be super interesting.
And it would be
Such an
interesting.
interesting dimension,
And
yeah.
you could then, and that could be the explanation for why these people have this tension with one another and they're kind of miserable. And you could play off the robot relationships with the human reproduction. I don't know. That would be the one thing I can think of. But also, don't give me CGI Ash and don't grab the remnants of the alien in the beginning of the movie and don't give...
Yeah.
Don't
Just
do
don't do
a
anything
lot
else.
of
the
things.
movie does.
and make it scarier. I know
Yeah.
they said it was going to be
Yeah.
scary, but it was
It
not
wasn't,
scary.
well, the trailer made it look like it was going to be more horror.
Yeah.
I
That
think
one scene is pretty great though when they're thawing out. I like that.
Yeah, I like
yeah.
that.
Thawing.
I like that. I like the scene where they like raise the temperature so they can sneak through
Yeah,
the
I like
huggers.
that.
That
Yeah.
felt new. That's
It
not
felt-
been done
yeah.
before. has
no, that felt new.
And I didn't mind
Yeah.
the floating acid.
it? Yeah.
No,
It
that
was okay.
and at least that was new too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Very sci-fi.
If you could replace any actor in this movie with Christopher Walken, who would it be? Andy. 100% Andy.
Yeah,
I
that
want to
makes
see what it
sense.
would be like if Rain was replaced with Christopher Walken.
I'd replace Ash with Christopher.
Oh, that's a good one too. Yeah.
What if the alien was replaced with Christopher Walken? It was just Christopher Walken who comes out.
In like a hat.
Yeah,
Like an alien
yeah.
hat. That'd be great. I love that.
Before we wrap up, you've got to open the game. Have you opened it yet?
I haven't. No.
So
Are
Jen
you
and I
sure that
have.
it's like properly like put back
I
together?
believe so. Jen and I have Alien the board game, which
Yeah.
we played all of one time.
It's
But
called Alien Fate of the Nostromo.
so
In space, no one can hear you scream. I'm about to open it. Okay, what's in here? Okay, we've got a screaming
Jonesy.
Jonesy.
yeah, I thought that would get a bigger reaction.
Oh,
honestly,
yeah.
I thought the Jonesy of it
I'll
all.
be 100% honest with you because what I expected was a spring-loaded face hugger.
Oh,
that was
sure,
gonna,
sure.
like,
yeah,
Okay,
that
that would be
makes more
great.
sense.
and that actually would have been dope. Do you have any other thoughts, y'all? feelings?
No, but we do need one more thing.
We do, Jen.
We need a sound bite
Give
from
us a sound bite.
Teagan.
Yeah, give us a sound bite.
Make it good,
A
bitch.
good one.
I can't lie to you about your chances, but you have my sympathies.